I'm EXO, and for the final video this week, I decided I would go back and talk about one of the games that I've mentioned multiple times on the channel in the past. I've lost count. But the short of it is, I got some money after returning some stuff for my birthday that didn't work. I bought SimCity, and I also bought a game called Sorcerers Get All the Girls. Now, imagine 13-year-old EXO at this Ma and Pa size Comp USA. And he's walking to the register holding this game, and he's very embarrassed by the fact that there is a woman in a bikini on the cover. So he's shuffled that down to the bottom of the stack, and he's put like the SimCity graphics packs on top, and the SimCity game on top of that. And I'm not even thinking about the fact that when I get up there, the guy's gonna have to like go through and scan them all. But and I remember just like I must have been bright red when he got to that game and scanned it. But I am so glad that I was that susceptible to some TNA on a game cover, because this is actually a really good game. If you look here, it's done by Steve Meretzky. He's well known for Zork specifically, some of the Zork games, not the original Zork, but he also did Planetfall, Leather Goddess of Phobos, Zork Zero here is mentioned. Meretzky was kind of synonymous with Infocom in the early days. He was one of their primary writers, and he went over and helped start Legend. Legend was similar to Infocom, but much more graphical in that the Infocom games would describe the scene for you, but these games had like, let's see here, I gotta get this all backwards. There's only one photo on the whole thing that shows it there. So you kind of had, a picture of what you were seeing, a description right here, a list of items, and a list of verbs. And then you could click on these actions up here. So a very early precursor to the ScumVM engine that LucasArts put out later, in that you had clickable verbs and actions. You had a visible inventory list at all times. You didn't have to hit like the I key like in a Sierra game, or type in inventory and have it type up a list for you each time. The game I bought probably because down here in the system requirements, supports most CGA, EGA, VGA, MCGA, and compatible cards. Okay, so on my crappy old AT&T 6300, that's going to work. And it was so hard to find a game. This is 1993? 92? 93? I can't remember. I think it was 93. In 93, I am trying to find computer games that work on an AT&T 6300. This is a green screen monochrome CGA, so it's like 3 shades of green and black, and that's basically your palette at that point. Or maybe it was 4 shades of green and black. The extra shade didn't make a huge difference. And at this point, even if it was 92, CD-ROMs are out. So a game like this would have been sitting on the same shelf as King's Quest 6, which is amazing to think about. VGA graphics were standard by then. High-end sound was standard, and my AT&T only could do a PC speaker. As mentioned before, the reason I had money was because I had asked for a sound blaster for my birthday, and it's not compatible with that system. You couldn't install it. This guy here actually supports Real Sound, AdLib, Roland MT32, and any MPU 401 compatible MIDI interface. You could use a mouse with it, optional. That was important because my computer did not have a mouse. There was a mouse made for the AT&T 6300, but it was a 9-pin, I think it was 9-pin, and it plugged into the back of the keyboard. So it had to be a very specific mouse. You couldn't just go buy any mouse for your AT&T. It had to be the AT&T mouse. And even then, I don't even know where you would have gotten the drivers from back then. It's not like you could get online and download them. And you couldn't use a standard mouse driver. You would have had to have the DOS driver for the AT&T mouse. Hard disk recommended, but not required. Also helpful, considering I only had a 10 megabyte. Well, I had 10 megabytes of usable hard drive space. So, as we pop this open here, it was also on 5.5, and it's on a lot of them. How many we got here? Just 1, 2, 3. Okay, ooh. There's a system disc 1 through 3. There is a picture in music disc. 1 through 6. So we're talking 9 floppies for this, and this is a text adventure. Now, granted, it does have some graphics in there, but there's not animation really. You've got your orientation guide here, and this is mainly going to tell you how to play. You used to need a 30-page book to play a text adventure game because you needed to know what adverbs to use, or what verbs to use, what syntax to use. So, like, if you have a mouse, you can, I didn't even know this, you can click on a character that's in the picture and it will greet that person. I had no idea you could do that. I should have read the manual, I guess. Well, I probably did read the manual, but didn't have a mouse, so it didn't stick with me. More importantly, though, one of the cooler things here is the map. And the map is also the copy protection. So, you have a grid here, and at some point you get a enchanted surfboard, if I remember correctly, and you can use a surfboard to get around. So you start way up here at Sorcerer University, and that is at, where's this? Fox 4. So you got your numbers across the top, and over here you got grub, fox, tick, boa, bat, slug, pig, gnat, and asp. And all these little red shields that you find around are different locations that you can go to. So it's kind of impressive how many locations are in this game. You've got, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm counting 14 on here, but there's more than that because there are things on this map that are not marked that you can go to. For example, there is a foot island out here. You can go to that one. There's a time island down here. There is this little heart with women on it. There is, I think, right there. That lightning, I think that's like a Zeus kind of type thing. I think it's... and each one of these islands out there have a different rule to how you have to play. And that's where the game gets really clever. Because in the beginning of this game, you are... Like any story, you're a misfit. Very Harry Potter. You get away from your family. You discover magic. You go to a university to learn magic. And you go into class. You have a... This is also copy protection. Your registration form, and printed in very, very light blue are the answers, so that if you try to copy it, it would be hard to see it. Which is ironic, because it would be very easy to go over this with a black pen and then copy it, you know? Like, just write right next to it. There are lots of interesting things on here. Such as your Sorcerer Aptitude Test score. There's an oral score and an anal score. He did better. In the oral, he only got a 590. Anal, he got a 670. So, good for him. You have a reference card. A warranty card. And in this case, it is actually filled out. So, I actually bought this copy of the game off of a friend. He's one of the fellows who started up Moby Games, and he's involved in some other cool things. He's been in the abandonware scene for ages. Really great guy, really nice guy. And I bought this, when he was selling off his collection, I looked at the list and I saw this game on there, and I thought, I gotta get that. Because I had it as a kid, and then I let someone borrow it at one point, and I never got it back. And I also figured most of my things inside were probably messed up by now, all the little pieces of paper. So not only did I buy his copy of Sorcerer Get All the Girls Spellcasting 101, but I bought Spellcasting 201 and 301 as well. Or is it 102, 103? There's 3 of them total. I bought all 3 from him. Look at that. There's even a receipt in this box. June 18th, 1991 at 4:35 p.m. This game, wow. So this is bought at a store called Myers. I don't know where Myers is. We don't have that here in the Texas area. This game was $79.95. No tax. Tender was $80 and they got 5 cents back. Alright, think about that. In 1991, $80.91 is easily $160 now, but probably closer to $200. A $200 game. That is mind-boggling to me. People talk about how expensive games have gotten, you know, brand new AAA game on the PS5 is $70. Uh, there's also a catalog, the best of times. Do they have a worst of times as well? Probably not the best way to sell your software is to have a worst of times. I love catalogs. You can go through them and see things like an ad-lib music synthesizer card, only $149 plus $3 shipping and handling. $3. These days isn't shipping like $20 for anything pretty much, or at least 10. A Roland sound card. Now this is just a sound card, not the like MT32 where you had the entire like box and everything. This is an LAPC1 sound card, a tone generator, and intelligent MIDI interface. $439.95 plus $3 shipping and handling. And then looking through the games here, like Railroad Tycoon, $60. Sid Meier's Covert Action, $60. Sid Meier's Pirates, $45. What else we got here? I wanted to see if they had... They're not even showing off their... Nothing in this catalog is their interactive fiction. That's what I was looking for. Text adventures. Oh, on the back, finally. This game for $59.95. So that's kind of funny. It's $59.95 directly from them, but $79. I wonder if Myers is in Canada, and this is Canadian money. It might explain why there was no tax on it. Anyway, I'm going to pack this up, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to talk about the game a little bit. Now, I thought about playing the game with my eXoDOS set up and talking about it then, but while it's going, but it's not a game that's easy to show off without doing like a long play. Text adventures are very slow by their nature. So, I think just talking about it like this works really well. Eventually something goes wrong at the school, and you are forced to go on your quest. You no longer attend classes, but you did learn a few spells while you were in your classes. Think about the classes in the school as kind of your tutorial. My favorite part of the game is once you're out of that, because it really is a little bit of free roam. You can go to islands in different orders, which is another of my favorite features in King's Quest VI. I love how once you get the magic map, you have multiple islands you can travel to. And while you might need an item from one island to get onto another island, you may not know that yet. You don't know which one to. It's almost like a Mega Man game in that Mega Man, well, the difference is in Mega Man you could tackle your bosses in any order. It was just not a good idea to sometimes, because some of them are really hard with your basic, what do they call it? The Gut Blaster? That's Mega Man X. Doesn't matter. The Buster Blaster, the Buster Gun. Oh, geez, I'm so close. I do this a lot. I get so close and then I screw up. Whatever the hell it's called. There is an order that you should tackle the bosses in, the easy one, and then there's the, well, good luck. In a game like King's Quest VI or Sorcerers Get All the Girls, you kind of have that similarity in that you can start getting into these islands without knowing everything, at least in most cases. But it is much easier, and in some cases, only way to do it in the right order. On the island that had a hourglass on it, I love that island because time is running backwards. So the puzzle becomes, whatever it says just happened is what you should have is what you need to type. So if it says you pick up the shovel, then the answer is to type pick up the shovel. Now that's a really simple version of it, because sometimes it's never that easy. It's not just write what happened. It could be like, so suddenly there is a large burst of light and the entire house disappears. And you have to think to yourself, whoa, so what do I type to make that happen? And I just find it really clever that you're constantly going backwards. And you're having to use the clues of the action that is taking place to figure out what you have to type to make that action take place so it can continue going backwards until you finally get all the way back to the point where you landed on the island and you type in land on island, and then you leave the island. Another one has puns. Everything is a pun, basically, or a reference. So, and they're people that have been transformed into objects. So, you'll be out in the woods, and they'll say there is a babbling stream. And you think about it, like, a babbling brook, and so you type in brook, and immediately the stream turns into a woman named Brooke, and she wanders off. So you have to walk into every place and hit look, and then you get all these descriptions of items, and you have to figure out what the name is. You know, like here's a pretty obvious one. You see something hanging on the wall, art. It turns, and then it always describes the person who was the object, and they always kind of have like a similarity to the object that they were. So art comes off the wall, and he's very pretentious, and he's got these glasses on him. You know, you walk in a room and you almost step on. Oh, you step on the rug leading into the room, and it lets out a squeal. You type in mat, boom, turns into mat. So those are the easy ones. There's some really obfuscated ones in there that are really fun. Ultimately, though, I had played smaller text adventures before I got the game. Like there's an old shareware game that you could download called McMurphy's Mansion, and the premise was simple enough. Your old uncle or grandfather has passed away. He left some like 5 hidden gold bars in the house. Maybe it was 12. It was a lot. I can't remember how many. Go find them. And I'm like 11 years old at that point, maybe 12. And I remember finding my first gold bar, and it was like out in a bush outside. And I just literally walked around the property saying, look in bush, you see nothing. And I'd go north. Look in the bush, you see nothing. And I did this, and I did a grid, and I found a gold bar in one of the bushes, and I was like, I did it. And then there was a room that was locked upstairs you could never get into. And I remember being upstairs and being in a room that didn't have much in it, but there was a window. And so I went over to the window and I said, open the window. You open the window. Look out the window. There's a small ledge. Climb onto the ledge. It's really precarious. Are you sure you want to do that? Save game. Done? Yes. Climb onto the ledge. So I get out there and I'm like, shimmy down the ledge. Like, you're looking into the window of the room that is locked. Like, whatever they say. Open the window, it opens. And I remember being so excited that I figured it out. There were no solutions for the game online back then. There was no, on the BBSs that I went on to anyway, I couldn't find solutions for it. And there was no internet yet for me to check, or at least I didn't have access to it. I remember getting stuck near the end, and the game it said, if you send $2 to this address, we'll send you the solution. So I remember getting $2 bills, 2 $1 bills, putting them in an envelope, addressing it, solutions, McMurphy's Mansion, and sending it off. And like a month later, I figured out the puzzle, and I got past it, and I didn't think about it again. Like 8 months later, I get a letter in the mail, and it's the solution of the game. And I think I still have that somewhere. I'm sure that's probably pretty rare, because I wonder how many people sent in for the solution. I mean, even if 100 people did, or 200 people, how many still have a copy of it? How many? I think I got it in. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And I didn't even open it or anything. I just put it away on the side and saved it. And even as a kid, I was like, I should save things like this. But I've always gotten a really strong sense of exploration from interactive fiction games. While they're probably at their core, if you could like make a tree of branching narratives and the total number of things you can do in a game, they're probably some of the more limited ones out there. If you don't know the limitation of them, they feel like they can go on forever. They feel like a story. It feels like a choose your own adventure. And I don't know what I'm going to find. Every time I get on that surfboard and go to a new coordinate, what kind of island am I going to show up at? What's going to be the trick to figuring out the puzzles on that island? What am I going to have to find or seek out or think about in an alternative way in order to figure out what to do next? Whereas, and believe me, I'm not knocking visual games. I love, I mean, I made it very clear. King's Quest VI is probably my favorite just overall adventure game ever, just from front to back. But I love The Dig. I love Day of the Tentacle, Sam & Max. Like, I don't know that I've ever, I've definitely met adventure games I don't like, but I tend to like more than I dislike. I'm very forgiving when it comes to adventure games. I love exploring them. I love the art. The Carandia series, for example. I like the storylines. I like the animations. But half the story is being told to you right there. You know, when Alexander Graham, when Alexander lands on the beach in the beginning of King's Quest VI, the story is told to you. You see the beach, you see the wreckage, you scan it with your eye, you see the plank, you click on the plank, you move the plank, you find the thing. Okay, you look around over here. Oh, found that. Okay, leave the screen. With a text adventure game, especially the ones before like Legend, when they added pictures, even the ones with pictures don't really like, they don't draw all the items on the picture for you. It's not like if there's a ring you need to pick up that there's this big bold ring on the table in the picture. The picture may not show anything. The picture just gives you an idea of the room that you're in. It's not this big rendered thing that you can look around. It doesn't have a lot of detail. It's pretty basic. Um, the imagination that goes into reading the text description, and then you have to look at it and figure out, like, well, why did it mention that over there? Examine that thing. No, there's nothing to it. Okay, well, do I give up now or do I keep messing with it? I'm going to keep messing with it. And then finally you type it a certain way and it says, oh, well, behind it you see something shiny. Or you notice it sits a little wobbly. Oh, move it, look underneath it. It was always about exploring and testing and pushing limits. What can you get away with? If I rephrase myself, does that work? It's not too different than talking to AI now and trying to get AI to give you what you want, and you have to keep massaging the prompt until you get to where you're trying to get to. That's, to me, a very similar function or skill that you use to play an interactive fiction game. I appreciate you sitting around and listening to me talk about Spellcasting 101, the first horny game that EXO ever bought. And probably the most shameful game sitting on my shelf to this day. But it is a good one. And when you get eXoDOS 6, or if you've already got 5 and you have not played this yet, I encourage you to give it a shot. I myself am going to celebrate the release of eXoDOS version 6 by taking a few weeks off and just playing some games I never got around to. There's another game Legend did called Eric the Unready, and that looks absolutely hilarious to me. I really want to play that one. Maybe I'll finally knock out Spellcasting 201 and see what that was all about. And then there's a few... I've never played Toonstruck before, and Toonstruck looks really fun. There's a couple games I've never played before. If you have any recommendations for me, please leave them down in the comments. Smash that like button. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thanks for watching. Bye.